So today we're going to talk about I call it a foolproof communication method. Of course, nothing is completely foolproof. To lower partner defensiveness when you're trying to express a need or feeling that you're having or set a boundary in your relationship. Hi, I'm Emma Coble. I'm a therapist and I see clients in Colorado and throughout Colorado and Florida online. And I work with women with trauma and couples who are disconnected and couples who have trauma. So what we're going to talk about today combines elements of emotionally focused therapy and also nonviolent communication. So there's an excellent book about nonviolent communication that I will link in the notes to this video. So if you are interested in learning more about it and how to do it, I highly recommend reading that book. So if you have ever brought something up with your partner, and I'm sure all of us have, only to have them shut down, get angry, get triggered, get annoyed, and then you suddenly find yourself in an argument you didn't want to be in, 1,000 miles away from the very thing you brought up, this is for you today. We are going to talk about how to bring things up in a way that is going to help your partner not shut down and not get defensive. And what you can do, as well as, if they're interested in doing this as well, how they can approach this as well. This method of communication is really about focusing on your own personal experience rather than blaming another person or blaming your partner. This allows you to feel like a softer presence to your partner and to feel less threatening. The very reason we get defensive as human beings is because we sense danger and we're trying to keep ourselves safe. So oftentimes when a partner, brings something up or expresses an emotion, this can be a scary thing because our partners are the most important things in our world. And if we feel like that bond is in some way threatened, we get scared and we automatically want to protect ourselves from hurt and pain happening to us. So oftentimes if your partner is getting defensive, remember it's because they care about you. It doesn't feel like that, but remember, and of course, if they're being abusive or whatever, it's not an act of love or something like that to be defensive or to be that's not an act of love, but these feelings are so big because our relationships matter so much to us. So when there is defensiveness, there can be this really negative cycle of bringing, saying something, one partner getting defensive, the other partner responding sometimes through defensiveness of their own or shutting down themselves, and then just getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And again, you get totally lost. It's not about the original problem that was being discussed. It's about the cycle and the communication that you guys are struggling in. So we want to be having you speak about your own experience, and I call it speaking from the inside out. So finding that primary vulnerable emotion inside of you and being able to express that rather than the anger or the prickly parts that tend to elicit defensiveness in another person. And I call this foolproof, but I will say it takes some practice to learn, and sometimes our partners might still get defensive. And if they do, that doesn't mean you're bad or wrong. It might mean that you both need some more practice with this, and sometimes it just happens. That's just what happens in our relationship sometimes. So we want to have you leading with your feelings, speaking in a way that is revealing your inner world rather than making assumptions or demands about them, inviting connection and repair rather than trying to reject or shut them down. The first step is to start with an observation about an event, one event. So not a general pattern in the relationship or something that person always does know one thing that is not disputable. So rather than when you always zone out when I talk to you, no, that's something that your partner is probably going to be like, what? I'm not zoning out. Make it something like when you were 5 minutes late for our therapy appointment. Something that just happened. When you walked home and you came in the door and you immediately went to your office and you didn't give me a hug. That's a fact. That is true. Start with something, an observation that is not going to cause more argument or get lost in the weeds, like just a thing that happened. So again, not you never listen to me, not you're always on your phone, but earlier when I was talking about my day and you looked at your phone, or when you left without saying goodbye this morning, ... So you're not blaming, you're not labeling, you're not judging this event, you're simply stating what happened. So when blank event happened, the next is name your emotion and be very specific. So rather than say something like, I feel like you don't care, say a prime, which kind of, again, puts blame, or assumes something about them. Come into your primary emotion of like, I felt sad, I felt lonely, I felt hurt. So, when you left without saying goodbye this morning, I felt sad. Okay, so again, get the interpretations out of this. Really tap into that primary emotion, and I do think this part is the hardest because it's very vulnerable oftentimes to go to this place. And we really want our partners to respond with empathy rather than reactivity, and this helps, but it's scary. And so I would say try and comfort yourself as you're doing this as well, and remember that your feelings are valid, whatever they are. Okay, so the next is to connect this to a need or a longing. So I felt sad because I long to feel close to you, or I want to feel important in your world. I miss you, I want to feel connected to you. And then the last part is to make a kind request, not a you need to change, not a, stop treating me like crap or something like that, but rather, would you mind, giving me a hug before you leave or something like that. So here is kind of an example of putting it all together. So rather than you're so checked out lately, you don't even care about me anymore, let's try this. When you came in and immediately looked at your phone, I felt a wave of sadness. I think it's because I really miss connecting with you after we've been apart all day. Would you be open to putting the phone down and checking in for a few minutes after we end our days? So, how did each of those hit you? Can you feel the difference there? The second one really signals vulnerability, safety, openness, which invites connection and doesn't elicit the response of wanting to attack. And it helps your partner see your vulnerable attachment needs rather than seeing you as a threat. This also interrupts that negative cycle that I was talking about earlier, and really, again, connects you with the vulnerable parts of each person. Now, if your partner still gets defensive, it helps to stay grounded in your own experience, keep coming back to that rather than arguing, and again, reminding them of like, I'm not trying to blame you, I'm just wanting to let you know my experience. I'm trying to let you in because I want this to feel better for both of us. And then pause and return later if you need to. And remember, you don't have to be perfect with this. If you need help, I would suggest couples therapy. And if you're in Colorado or Florida and you want to connect, reach out for a free consultation. Good luck with this.